Everyone be seated, please. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Greg Brandis. I'm the Dean of St. Francis School of Law. My great pleasure and honor to welcome you to this very, very special occasion, both for our school and, of course, importantly for our graduates, our wonderful graduates. We appreciate you being with us, and today as we acknowledge and admire the accomplishments of these graduates, whom you know so well. This is St. Francis's fourth graduation ceremony. With the 8 diplomas that we will award today, St. Francis alumni now numbers 28 in all. Just enough, I think, for us to have a decent alumni intramural flag football team, if we could ever get them all together in one place. We might really be competitive, but I don't know if that'll ever happen. We're very fortunate as a pretty young school to be free of some of the stodgier things that sometimes occur at these kinds of occasions. So I hope that you will enjoy the ritual that we have evolved here. The vibe we're after is serious but celebratory. We want to enjoy and acknowledge the work that everyone has done and give each graduate a little bit of the time and attention that they so richly deserve for all the things that they have accomplished. So I invite you to be in the moment with us as we kind of take our time thinking about it and really honoring what these graduates have done, their work, their accomplishments, and who they are as part of our school and its legacy. For our guests who are joining us for the very first time, let me also to say just a few words about St. Francis. Like these graduates, both those present as well as those that we are honoring at a distance and who I hope are joining us on our, we hope, a live webcast. And we would like to say that they represent really the vanguard of a new way of learning. That way is not as new today as it once was. It is becoming, in fact, widely accepted as valuable, efficacious, proven to be successful, and of course, your family members and friends and our graduates are among those who are out there establishing that in the community, among peers and colleagues and judges and others who make opinions about these things, importantly, in legal education and in the law. In a very short span of time, at least as we measure things in the academic world, St. Francis has established itself with a reputation as one of the finest purveyors of legal education, regardless of the nature of the education being offered. Our folks and our friends in the more traditional worlds appreciate and understand what we do today, what we do now, and they are beginning to do it today themselves, increasingly across all of legal education. So while we're still pioneers, in a very important sense of the word, we're also leading a charge that is becoming more and more common among all the other folks who go to law school to do it exactly the way we do it. So you can be very proud of that over the long run. And despite what you may hear from time to time, the need for good lawyers is actually growing, not decreasing. The fact of the matter is that as our population ages, many of the lawyers who came along 40 years ago are retiring. And so what you may have occasionally heard that there's too many lawyers, that's simply not true. And we're actually looking ahead to a difficult period of time when there won't be enough people trained and skilled and capable in the things that you know to be able to serve the population. In fact, in many places today, there aren't enough people to actually provide the legal services that are a basic part of our system of social justice in this country. So one of the solutions, of course, is what we do and what all of you have demonstrated works for education. We are a leader in providing education to a diverse population. Our group is diverse in a variety of ways. One of the ways it's particularly different from the traditional law school group is that it's a little bit older. And that brings some great depth of experience when our graduates go out and actually start to work in their fields, because they can actually do things that others who might be younger, newer graduates are simply not equipped to be able to do. Our goal is to make sure that folks who are qualified and willing to serve are able to serve and contribute meaningfully to things like civil rights and safety, to the causes that they believe in, whatever those causes might be, and of course to protection of the rule of law, which is one of the most important principles that governs this country, and lawyers are its guardians. And so all of you graduates have an extremely important role ahead in protecting the rule of law in this country, which is at times under threat, as we know from some of the things that we read. Well, graduates, we're very proud of you today, and for our assembled friends and family, let me tell you a little bit about that group. Among them, we have, I believe, a number of folks who are distinguished in the arts and sciences. We also have 2 engineers, 2 environmental scientists, a criminal justice professional, 2 experts in procurement, a very senior technologist, an MBA, and an auditor. Among them, I counted well over a dozen degrees and certifications, far more than that, among the 8 graduates that we honor today. I think it's fair to say that no other law school in the country, not one, has a graduating class with that depth of knowledge, experience, background, and prior advanced education. So graduates, we appreciate you and what you brought to our community over all these years. And we especially appreciate you as peers and colleagues now in our profession and in the leadership of our profession. We also appreciate the support and sacrifice of all the folks who are here with them today, those who joined them and supported them through all of this time. And we know that you will continue to support them as they figure out what they're going to do with this new skill and new set of knowledge and abilities that they have. Graduates, on your behalf, I'd like to also thank our devoted faculty and staff, some of whom are with us today, some who are watching, some who couldn't be. I am incredibly proud to work with them, and on their behalf, of course, I applaud you and your great success today. I know that they would love to be here with you and love to congratulate you as well. I want to also appreciate our leadership at Baker College, some of whom are with us today, and I'll introduce President Langen in just a moment. But they are stalwart supporters of what we do here at St. Francis. We literally couldn't do it without that support, and it's a great privilege and honor to work with them. Join you and them on this wonderful journey that is our terrific St. Francis. Well, without further ado, I now have the honor of welcoming to the podium Dr. Jill Langen. She is Provost of Baker College and President of St. Francis School of Law. In addition to presiding over St. Francis, Dr. Langen has served as President and Chief Academic Officer of Baker College Online and the Center for Graduate Studies as well. So will you please join me in welcoming Dr. Langen to the podium. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dean Brandis. As president of St. Francis School of Law, I am honored to stand before the St. Francis graduating class of 2020. We finally can say that. I am so honored to be able to be here today and to participate in this very special ceremony. As I look out at our graduates today, I have such joy at being here. Perhaps a little bit of relief on your faces as well that I see. It's been a long road for you. It's been days and nights and weeks and months and years and no breaks. And that requires a level of persistence and commitment and dedication that is rare and unique and something I'm incredibly proud of you for. There has been the excitement of learning and certainly a sense of accomplishment for you. But that has been accompanied by hours of class time, as your family and friends who are with us today will testify to, and hours. There has been stress over exams, and I know that there have been times with friends and family that has been forsaken. This endeavor is not for the weak. I am so impressed with each and every one of you. And I truly hope that you will remain part of the St. Francis faculty as an active alum. But given how hard you have worked and how long you have waited, I am not going to postpone your graduation ceremony 1 minute longer, and I will have Dean Brandes proceed with the ceremony.
Thank you, President Michael. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming and being part of our great celebration today. Well, I would now ask that all members of the audience not already standing, that would be nobody, please stand and join Professor Karen Travis, who is also our Director of Academic Excellence and a great mentor of our supporter of our students in the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, we're over here.
We're already.
Here we are.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for taking part in that. Well, this brings us to a very special part of our proceedings, and that is in which we take a moment to honor some of our graduates who have excelled and achieved remarkable academic success during their time here. We would like to first acknowledge our valedictorian, Amy Jaramillo, who I hope that I've said that correctly. I just learned it today. So attaining honors in this program takes incredible dedication and real brilliance, and certainly over a persistent period of time, as you all know. To keep high grades all the way through this lengthy 4-year program is quite an accomplishment. Amy attained one of the highest GPAs that I've seen since I've been with St. Francis. I never share the number because, of course, we have to worry about privacy things all the time, of course, but let me assure you, a very, very high GPA. She and others who are recognized in the program and others who are with us today who were not able to be placed in the program for reasons I can explain, deserve our highest honors, recognition, and esteem for what they achieved. Now, let me tell you just a little bit about Amy. Amy is the Chief Compliance Officer for Rio Grande. This is an 80-year-old wholesale company that in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Actually, it's now owned by Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway group, and that's actually important to the story, sort of. And they are in the business of serving and supplying folks who produce and make fine jewelry, and folks who are in the jewelry industry. Amy has been with that company for a long time, but previously was with Intel Corp in a very senior procurement and management role. So she has great expertise in compliance and procurement and a number of the kinds of jobs that are really very typical for lawyers to use their legal education to be successful in. So we'll hope to hear a little bit about her. Amy was actually among the very first group of students here in St. Francis to commit to online education. She completed her Bachelor of Science in Business Administration at the University of Phoenix, one of our competitor, I guess, online schools, who at a very early stage in the development of that school. So Amy is a true pioneer when it comes to this kind of education. She realized the need for a law degree some years later, just like many of her colleagues did, after she found that her work was becoming more and more legal in nature. Probably I'm getting ahead of the story just a little bit. Can we just welcome Amy Jaramillo and congratulate her? Welcome her to say a few words.
Thank you, Dee. Wow, so it's great. We're here, and I am truly humbled and honored to be sitting next to all of you. This has been an incredibly difficult road, and one that I know, it's blood, sweat, and tears, literally, lots of tears. But you all, learning from you, being surrounded by you, it's truly been an amazing experience. And I think that we often hear it takes a village, and I think that that is no more true than it is in pursuing this particular degree. We have struggled, but our families have struggled, our friends have struggled. We know that everything that we have said yes to means that we have said no to something else. And everything that we've learned has been worth it. And I am grateful for you. I am grateful, Professor Travis, thank you. Dean, it's truly been an honor. And I thank all of you. And I think it's time for us to celebrate. So congratulations. So, Jim.
Wonderful, congratulations. Now, in the program, you will have noted that there are others who attained academic honors. And I apologize, there are others with us today who we weren't able to put into the program as they're graduating. They're in the ceremony a little bit ahead of finishing the program, which is not an unusual thing. But with regret, some of them also deserve our recognition for academic honors as well. So it's wonderful to have all of you with us, and my sincere congratulations to you for that success. Folks, this group stands out remarkably in a variety of different ways. I mentioned some of their backgrounds before. We recognize different levels of academic attainment, and you'll notice they start pretty high right here in the school. So anybody who manages to get into that category has done an extremely fine job with their academics, which of course we faculty members, that's terribly important for us. To be sure. So we want to congratulate all of those who were at that high level of academic attainment. Well, now I'm very excited to introduce our commencement speaker for the event today. His name is Steve Moad. Steve joined the Office of Chief Trial Counsel at the State Bar of California. That's abbreviated OCTC. So if he says it or I say it again, that's what we mean, OCTC, in May of 2017. During his time in the office, Steve has served as Chief Trial Counsel and as Special Assistant to the Interim Chief Trial Counsel. Prior to joining the bar, Steve was a Deputy District Attorney in Contra Costa County, California for nearly 20 years. During his last 5 years with the Office of the District Attorney, Steve was the Senior Deputy District Attorney in charge of the Special Operations Division. That division included consumer and environmental protection units, auto and workers' compensation insurance fraud, real estate fraud, and public corruption units. Very, very important functions within an office like that. Steve received his law degree from the University of San Francisco and his undergraduate degree in political science from the University of California at San Diego. For our guests, the Office of Chief Trial Counsel is the part of the state bar that handles claims of attorney misconduct. Oh, did our graduates perk up their ears as well? So, among other things. So we're all of us are going to listen very closely to what Steve has to say today because it's just possible there'll be something in there that will save us somewhere along the way from a common accidental mistake we might make. So can we all together welcome Steve Moad to the podium? Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Dean Brandis for inviting me here today. I'm honored to be here as you embark on your legal careers. Congratulations. In June of 1997, Mary Schmick, a columnist for the Chicago Tribune, penned a hypothetical commencement speech to all of the 1997 college graduates in the nation. It was in the early days of the internet, and like so many things on the internet, it was eventually repurposed and without attribution recirculated. It was stripped of her name and it was sent around as an actual graduation speech given at MIT by Kurt Vonnegut. Some of you may have seen it. The address begins with the simple but famous now advice, wear sunscreen. She encourages the graduates to take care of their bodies by taking calcium and being kind to their knees. She also urges them to strive to be happy and maintain the right frame of mind. All very sound advice, in fact, and if followed, these are things that can genuinely improve our lives. A college student also probably wouldn't be thinking about these things. But you're not graduated from college. You already have your undergraduate degrees. Many of you have had careers, and now you have your law degrees. As a lawyer, your role will be to apply the way you have been trained to think to help other people, to give them advice, to solve their problems. Fundamentally, that is what the law is all about. It is your job to give advice to and to take care of other people. The last thing you need is advice. Nonetheless, I am also a lawyer, and lawyers have never been known to limit their communications to those things that need to be said. So with that, I'll now proceed to give you the customary graduation speech advice. When I was in law school, I knew I wanted to be a deputy district attorney. I wanted to help victims. I spent nearly 20 years trying to give crime victims some semblance of justice. I talked to them about the rehabilitation and punishment of the offender, fought for restitution on their behalf, and sometimes I was just a shoulder to cry on and listen while they missed their loved one. I did whatever I could do to ensure the experience our victims had with my office and with the justice system was as positive as possible, considering the personal hardships created by the crime committed. We had an expression in the DA's office, "Do what it is." And while puzzling at first, to me that expression always meant do the right thing, do justice. I will admit that I didn't always think that helping people was central to the job of all lawyers. I like to think that I was different. I used to think the jobs that my law school friends had as fighting to see which corporation could take more money from some other corporation. That somehow to me seemed less important. But as I progressed in my career, I realized the impact all lawyers have on people and how important it is for people to get the legal help that they need. Whether it's guiding an entrepreneur through the regulatory red tape of starting a new business, assisting somebody who's facing eviction, or defending somebody who's been charged with a crime, helping people is part of the practice of all areas of law. Now, as a manager in the State Bars of California's Office of Chief Trial Counsel, the office that prosecutes attorneys for ethical violations, I see firsthand the impact, both positive and negative, and sometimes horrifically negative, that lawyers can have on people's lives. Service is inherent in the role of all lawyers. You must serve not only justice, but I also urge you, at least at some point in your legal career, to serve that segment of the public who need your counsel more now than ever. As Dean Brandeis mentioned, there is a significant justice gap in the state of California, and frankly, the nation. The recently released California Justice Gap study found that 55% of Californians experienced at least one civil legal issue in their household in the past year, and 13% experienced 6 or more legal issues. The rate is even higher for those at or below 125% of the federal poverty line. Despite the existence of these legal problems, approximately 85% of Californians facing legal problems received inadequate or no legal help. Legal aid organizations are generally the ones that many people go to for legal help, especially those with low incomes. Unfortunately, legal aid organizations report that they have insufficient resources to resolve up to 70% of the legal problems that reported to them. And these are just the ones that they know about. Unfortunately, many other problems go unreported because people simply do not know that their problem has a legal remedy or that they need legal advice. Your community desperately needs your counsel. For me, and for the hundreds of attorneys that I've worked with over my career, serving the public has always been the most rewarding part of being a lawyer. But as it turns out, to be a productive lawyer and an efficient one, you have to be healthy. Many aspects inherent in being a lawyer, including caring deeply about the clients we serve, even if the client is the public at large, dealing with opposing counsel who too often lack civility, proving to oneself and to everyone around us that the negative perception of lawyers in the public is not applicable to us, and working long hours and the associated work-life imbalance causes chronic stress. As an aside, did you know that the electronic court filing deadline is midnight? This stress can result in an elevated risk of mental health and substance abuse disorders among lawyers. Depression affects approximately 16 million adults in the United States, or about 6.7% of the population. In contrast, approximately 28% of lawyers have some form of depression. Between 21 and 36% of lawyers are considered problem drinkers. Now, in the interests of full disclosure, and to avoid sounding too preachy, I'm going to tell you that I have 2 dogs, and they're named Scotch and Rocks for a reason. But personal naming preferences aside, when we are healthy, we are more effective counselors. We are better able to connect with and serve our clients. We are more attentive to our work, better able to evaluate risk, and more creative in finding solutions and helping our clients achieve their goals. To be competent, the California rules of professional conduct require not only education and skill, but also that a lawyer apply the mental, emotional, and physical ability necessary to perform the service. To state it plainly, mental health and substance use disorders are tied directly to our competence. In fact, some regulators have suggested that 40 to 70% of the disciplinary proceedings and malpractice claims against lawyers involve substance use, depression, or both. It is important to acknowledge that both as lawyers and as people, we are happiest and healthiest when we are well supported. For that reason, I would like to take a moment to thank all of your friends and family, whether physically present here or not, for their role in your achievement today. I'd also like to challenge them to continue to be there for you in your career. In addition to your friends and family, as I'm sure you've all heard, playing with an animal can also lower your stress. You may want to consider not naming them for your favorite alcoholic beverage. As it turns out, it gives some people the wrong impression. Professional satisfaction and burnout are not solely the responsibility of the individual lawyer and their family, however. The legal profession also needs to acknowledge that it can and should do more to improve the health and well-being of lawyers. As the 2017 report from the National Task Force on Lawyer Wellbeing says, as a profession, we need to end the stigma that help-seeking behaviors will lead to a negative consequence professionally. We need to ensure a positive work-life balance, get regular physical activity, eat a proper diet, and get sufficient sleep. You must nurture your sense of personal satisfaction and enrichment from your work. Develop the ability to identify and manage your emotions to support your mental health, and cultivate a sense of connection and belonging to those that support your well-being. It's worth noting that lawyers are not the only ones that operate under stress. Obviously, other people do too. In fact, Ms. Schmidt's column was published at 2 o'clock in the morning. And she was probably also working under some unreasonable deadline, because she later admitted that she wrote the entire column, quote, while high on coffee and M&Ms. I would like to think that that shows that even those that give advice may, on occasion, also need it, and therefore that my decision to provide advice to you was not a waste of either your time or mine. So in whatever your legal pursuits are, do what it is. Serve the public. Take care of yourself, your friends, family, other lawyers. Be kind to one another and civil to your opponents. And most importantly, don't forget the sunscreen.
Wow. Thank you, Steve. That was fantastic. I find myself actually getting a little emotional about where we are and what we have to remember there. Thank you. It's been just an inspiration. And it's been a great pleasure to get to know you too, Steve. Steve and I have spent many hours at the state bar in various regulatory settings, and there are these moments where we just have to kind of sit around and chat. And so it's one of the greatest rewards of that work is to get to know wonderful folks like Steve on a little different level than you might passing in the hall kind of thing. The State Bar, I should say, is moving in so many ways to recognize the work that we do. As I think most of you know, we've applied for accreditation by the State Bar. We are in the midst of that process, and so not too much to say about it. But the important thing is that the State Bar has made that possible in the very recent past after many, many years of not doing so. So once again, it's a great moment in our school's history, and all of our great graduates will contribute immensely to that as you go out and do marvelous things with the education that you've had here. Well, it's my pleasure now to invite Dr. Langen back to the podium. We have a few additional words from our trustees, and she'll deliver those on their behalf. She is, of course, also a trustee of our school, in addition to being our president. And she's one of the truly great minds behind St. Francis. You probably don't know too much about her story, but together with Dr. Bart Degg many years ago, as president and CEO of Baker College, she also spent days and nights working through details of how this school operates, which, as you know, is not as simple and sort of straightforward as some of the other educational institutions you may have been a part of, because of some fairly complex regulatory things inherited from many, many years ago that don't really make a lot of sense for today, the way we do things. Pounding through these regulations, writing accreditation reports and applications for registration of the school, and over many years has been a constant and solid supporter of everything that we do here, including all the twists and turns of this school. On a personal note, I'll tell you graduates, I don't use words like constant very often or unfailing very often, but those are definitely words that I would use for my great colleague, Dr. Langen, and her support for you, for the mission of the law school. Most of this happens behind the scenes. You don't get to see much of it, but it happens regularly and unfailingly. So she has been an important part of the historical moment that has brought us to this place as a group together. I wonder if you'd also, again, join me in welcoming her back to the podium. Thank you.
Well, those are very kind words, but I'm going to let you in on a secret. I don't think I come even close to being a great mind, but I do have a good sense when I see other people who have a great mind, and that is really where St. Francis School of Law started. But thank you for the kind words. In a few minutes, you will be handed your diploma, a piece of paper that represents the culmination of a great deal of work and formalizes the awarding of your Juris Doctorate. However, you will take with you much more than a piece of paper. You will take with you a sense of accomplishment, perhaps more so than any other time in your life. You will take with you a great deal of legal knowledge that, as you know, can be a very powerful tool. You will hopefully also take with you friendships with your fellow students that will last the rest of your life. You will take with you the respect and admiration of every one of your professors, who very deeply and very truly hopes to continue to mentor you as you move forward. We have found that our St. Francis family doesn't end upon graduation. However, as you hold your diploma and move forward to use your legal education, it is my sincere hope that you will also hold closely the core values of St. Francis. Let there be quality in all that you do. Never settle for adequate. Continue to hold yourself to the highest standards. Be transparent with others, being forthright and honest with all that you do. Hold true to the highest level of integrity, even in the face of adversity, and perhaps especially when you face adversity. Be innovative. Continue to push the boundaries, to explore new options, to lead the pack. That's what St. Francis School of Law is. These core values are so important to St. Francis and they have brought us all here today. I believe those core values have and will continue to serve you in the future. I am, again, so very proud of you. Congratulations.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Langen. And of course, my thanks to Dr. Dagg as well, who couldn't be here this time, but is with us and sends his regards. It truly couldn't be done without the both of you in any fashion. Well, graduates, we are getting very close to the moment. Are you ready? It's not quite here yet, but very soon it will be. Just say the Juris Doctor degree you get today represents the recognition by the school and its faculty that you've successfully completed the rigorous academic program designed by that faculty to prepare you for entry into the profession of law and for carrying on the burden of trust that is placed in attorneys and counselors of law by the most important people in the legal system, the clients that we serve, and the public. I'm not talking about judges, although they are terribly important, and sometimes we have them with us, and I have to say that in the ceremony. I don't think we have any judges here today, but sometimes we do. Of course, the clients, the people of this great nation of which we are a part, where we serve the rule of law. They're the ones for whom protection of their rights and redress of grievances and honoring civic traditions are the most important things that hold things together. So only when the faculty is satisfied that you have met the obligations of being a part of that select group are you able to demonstrate having met their standards for graduation. And I'm not trying to scare you here. You're all here because you have very important evaluations. So at this time, I would like to welcome to the podium a member of the faculty to offer a few remarks on behalf of the faculty about our graduates today. Will you welcome Professor Travis to the podium, please?
Congratulations to our graduates, and as importantly, their families and friends who have supported them during these 4 very, very long, hard years. It is my great pleasure and privilege to represent the San Francisco faculty in saluting the class of 2020. And as a full-time faculty member running the Academic Excellence Program and teaching the first year, and the baby bar, or as James Fulcher named it, the mini bar prep class, and the California bar prep class, I have followed the path of all of you since around 2015. And if a quality of a law school can be measured in large part by the quality and competency of its graduates, these graduates are the finest representatives that St. Francis could hope for. In my talk, I'm going to look somewhat ahead, but also look back using the thoughts of our graduates who have sent messages to me about what their last 4 years have been like. And like all of our students, you all come from very highly successful and diverse academic and professional backgrounds. And I really heard similar messages in what all of you were looking for in making this monumental decision to return to a doctorate program and carry on the rest of your professional and personal lives. And from all of you, I heard that you were looking for an innovative, high-quality law school that would allow you to learn the law while meeting the obligations of your professional and personal lives. Some of you wanted to practice, and some sought the knowledge of the law to help you grow in your other chosen professions. I think you each more than acknowledged how challenging this road has been over the past 4 years, but each have gained much knowledge while having the strong support of your classmates and the faculty and making really lifelong personal connections, albeit electronically and now in person. So all the faculty have been challenged in every class with you and impressed by your spirit, motivation, and dedication to your law studies. So I want to briefly acknowledge each of you personally, starting with Amy. And when I look back on the 4 years, one thing that stands out about Amy is what a superb writer she is. And I remember in the baby bar class, she's the only student that has ever said to me, my goal is to have the bar acknowledge my essay and post it. And for those of you who may not be familiar with this, when the first year bar exam is over and the California bar is over, the bar chooses some essays to put on their website as exemplars of excellent writing and analysis and issue spotting. And sure enough, in October 2016, they chose Amy's essay in contracts. If you want to look it up, it's essay number 4, answer B, as an exemplar of a really excellent contracts essay. One other thing that I think is noteworthy about Amy, and I recall in first year torts, we went over a legal analysis of somebody who, without experience and without much common sense, was flying a hot air balloon. And the purpose of the exercise was to demonstrate what is a very abnormally dangerous activity. And everybody was required to write their analysis, and Amy wrote an analysis that was not an abnormally dangerous activity. And I thought for such a strong student, that was a little strange, because the facts were all going towards really someone without experience flying over Newport Beach, not knowing how to handle it and ending up crashing. And then I think it was James who let me know what Amy's email was, which I think still is Pilot Amy. And Amy does know how to fly a hot air balloon, and I think James is also a pilot. So she was perfectly fine in her analysis. I think that one thing that I know about Amy as well, that she's a great organizer, started studying for the bar probably before mostly anyone, on a very organized schedule. And I hope now you can resume your role as well as a wife, a mother, and your greatest role as a grandmother. So congratulations. James, I just remember even in looking at admissions, when you introduced yourself to the committee, you described yourself as a citizen, farmer, natural resource scientist, and perpetual student. That stands out. And even, I think you enclosed some photos of the Fulcher farm in the area in which you live. And I think these 4 years have proven what a dedicated, serious, inquisitive student and person that you are. And you accomplished so much before even attempting law school. James worked, I think, for 30 years, operated his own consulting business in the areas of environmental science, agronomy, and civil engineering. And I think it is clear that, James, you'll be using your legal knowledge to do good things in your community, meaningful conservation and environmental work. Know that James is involved with the Atlantic Coast pipeline issues and also the land trust community. So you have enriched our student body as you've enriched your local community. So use your legal knowledge for good, as I know you will, and we look forward to hearing about your accomplishments. I also wanted to say a few words about two of our graduates who were unable to be here today. One is Joe White, if you're watching us. Joe always knew he wanted to go to law school, and maybe one of the only persons that as an undergraduate took a tax law class because he loved the subject. So he wanted to communicate to every professor and everyone associated with the law school his good wishes for what he said seemed 4 years in which we all were solely focused on helping him to succeed. One of the testaments, I think, of how close this group of graduates is that I recall back in 2017 during Hurricane Harvey. Joe was working, as he is now, in the oil and gas industry, and the storm hit, and Joe vanished from class for a while. And we all knew the area in which he worked, and some students contacted me. I tried to reach out to him, and we later learned that he was working in the crisis and emergency response team for his company. And I think that just shows that everyone was as concerned when they hadn't heard from him as they would have been about their closest friend. And I think, as Joe says, these classmates he's been with for 4 years, many of whom he's never met in person, are his lifelong friends. So, Joe, I'm sorry you couldn't be with us today, but we are happy to honor you. Another of our graduates who could not be here today is Fed, and I wanted to give a shout out to him. Another very accomplished person before law school. He's been since 2012, worked in the area of IT, also has an MBA, multiple certifications from industry-recognized organization, and now he has a JD to add to his arsenal. And so Fayed, it has been just a delight having you in class and seeing you develop in your legal thinking and your writing, so congratulations. Heather, who's here with us today. I recall Heather always was very busy traveling for work, but always managed to be prepared and come to class. And as Heather told me, that achieving the goal of law school was all about balancing a heavy work schedule, and also setting a good example for her children. As she related, she started law school when her kids, I think, were finishing up their undergraduate degrees. And she's hoping that by going to law school that she can set a good example for her children, that an advanced degree can be done at just about any time of life and done well and successfully. I think another positive from Heather's experience in law school, as I understand it, is that her husband has become the household chef, to contribute that to the family, and that Heather and her husband, I'm sure now, are ready to have their Tuesday and Thursday nights back and vacations without lugging along heavy law school books. So, congratulations, Heather. Rico. When I think of Rico's journey at St. Francis, I think the one word that comes to mind is perseverance. Prior to coming to law school, Rico worked in the financial and wealth management industry for many years, and now is hoping that she can be able to use her JD to grow in her current very demanding field of healthcare and assisted living, which we all know is a very heavily regulated industry. So hopefully that will enable you to take on new challenges in risk management and in healthcare. And what I mean by perseverance is that, Rico had some personal hardships that comes about. Life goes on when you're all in law school, and she maintained working through the program, which we all acknowledge is a very challenging program, to be able to meet her lifelong dream of obtaining a law degree. So good for you. Congratulations. Melanie. What I love about Melanie is her focus and determination. And she says that coming to St. Francis helped her to find her voice, to structure arguments thoughtfully, and conduct herself professionally. And I think Melanie's seen more parts of the world during law school than I've probably seen in my entire life. And she's traveled to China, Vietnam, Mexico, Thailand. I don't know if I've left any place out. At times traveling around 4 hours to find a functioning internet connection so that she could still attend class, and has probably carried law books around the globe and back, quite literally. And Melanie also represents, I think, a milestone for St. Francis in that she is the first student to become a certified law student, which would enable a law student to participate and represent a client, in her instance, to defend some misdemeanors cases. She's also created an internship by cold calling a bunch of attorneys in Eureka. Good for you. And also an externship working with the Humboldt County PD Conflict Counsel's office. So I think that all of you, by choosing St. Francis and being so successful, have that kind of initiative, and I really respect you so much for it. So good luck in your criminal law practice. You'll do good work. And Truby. Truby's another one of our students who has learned to balance it all, working full-time in the area of criminal justice, having young kids, having a family, and doing it all so well. I've had the privilege of being able to participate in Truby's externship, which she did in the 4th year, and worked with a local attorney on a criminal appeal that I had been involved with in my law practice. And she brought such great energy, creativity, strong research skills, and really impressed the outside supervisor who had been my former law partner, and I can tell you he does not impress easily. So you just did such excellent work, and I was so proud of you and the work you did, and I think that lays the groundwork for having more of our students out there in the real world and helping real clients. And Truby, I'm still thinking about that case. It was a very difficult criminal defense case, and maybe putting our heads together one day we'll find a way to get justice for him, because that's really what a law degree is all about. We hope that all of you will maintain your ties to each other and your ties to St. Francis. Jim Wass, who I think was with our second group of graduates, he is creating the St. Francis Alumni Association, which to my understanding is now set up as a LinkedIn group. So I encourage you all to participate in that. It's a great way to stay in touch with each other and to stay in touch with St. Francis. So I hope that you will all choose to do that. And in closing, I thank all of you for choosing St. Francis. You know, as a young faculty, young in spirit, and a young law school, I hope that we've imparted our knowledge and experience to you in a manner that will enable you to continue to develop your critical thinking and your legal skills that'll enable you to serve clients and perhaps make some meaningful change in our legal system. And really, your determination to use your knowledge in meaningful ways demonstrates why St. Francis exists. You truly are the best and the brightest, and I look forward to watching you all develop as attorneys and contribute great things to the legal profession. You really make us proud. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Professor Travis. She has a talent for just capturing the essence of the things to think about each of you, and managed to get through without being too embarrassing along the way, as there always could be those moments, but very impressive as ever. Well, graduates, the big moment has now actually arrived. Now is the time that we will confer the degrees. We'll do that first, and then we'll ask each of you to come forward to receive your diploma and be recognized with the academic honors, the hooding that of the regalia of academic achievement that is so important to those of us in academia. For our audience, the tradition of wearing robes and hoods and all of this stuff extends back at least as long as there has been formal higher education, certainly into the Middle Ages. Frankly, it was practical in origin at the time, because they gathered schools together in drafty old stone buildings. And so everyone had to dress up and wear heavy robes to stay warm. And of course, academics being what they are, they soon made that whole thing into something very special. And we started adding colors and layers and all kinds of accoutrements based on academic status, which was what that was all about. To distinguish the different levels of achievement in academia and also the different disciplines and topics that students were studying and that teachers were teaching. So there's three important things that you should know about this tradition. First is that there is a traditional color for each discipline. And as it happens for law, the purple that we wear is the traditional law color. So any Juris Doctor graduate will always have some purple as a part of this hood that is a piece of their academic garb. The second is that the hood colors in the back and the other parts of the hood are related to the particular institution of higher education that the student is graduating from. So in our case, the colors are red and white, and a little black as well. The third thing that you need to know is that your graduate, from this day forward, in any setting like this, is entitled to wear these robes. And unless and until you take another graduate degree after this one, this will be your hood color for the rest of your life. So if you don't like the color, you have to get another degree to get rid of the color. So we always stick with the one that we graduated from, the last one that we graduated from, until we have another one. All right, well, graduates, will you please stand? The Juris Doctor signifies that a person has completed a comprehensive and rigorous course of study in the subject matter, principles, and skills necessary to be a lawyer and a contributing member of the legal profession. Completion of a Juris Doctor is something that takes talent, intellectual curiosity, and commitment, and I congratulate each of you today for your accomplishments in this. By the authority vested in me by the faculty and on behalf of the faculty of St. Francis School of Law, I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor, you and all the JD graduates listed in the program who have met the program requirements, the degree of Juris Doctor with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining. Will the audience please join me in congratulating our JD graduates? Truby Catherine Bodiford. There's that. Now you're going to want to hold it sort of like that. There you go. And then we'll shake hands. And now you'll step forward a little bit. And we're going to take this from you. There we go. These are trickier to get on than they look. Okay, congratulations again. All right. It's a meeting when you wait for paparazzi. James Paul Fulcher. Congratulations, James. Well done. That's yours. And for a moment. All right, and now we're going to take this from you.
You do it for me,
I do. All right. Once again, congratulations. Okay. Well done. Congratulations. Rico Higgins. Congratulations. That's yours. All right. And now we'll take that. And step forward.
You don't have to get wet.
We'll get your hair up there for you. Once again, congratulations. Okay, well done. Amy Renee Jaramillo. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and now that, and you will probably have to not put that up here. I'll come over the back. There we go. Congratulations
Thank
once
you.
again. All right, very well done. Melanie Norman McNeely. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. That's yours. Okay, now, I'll come over from the back. You can step forward just a little bit. Well done, congratulations. And last but not least, Heather Ann Wilkie. Congratulations. That's yours. All right. You just take a step forward there. Always helpful. Thank you. Congratulations. All right. Well, that is a great moment. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the 2019-2020 graduating class of St. Francis School of Law. Now, as is usually the case in life, things that are worth doing with or for someone else. So seldom do we accomplish anything really worthwhile without the help of others. And there's a little tradition that I like to try at these ceremonies, and we'll see how it turns out. It makes a bit of a statement about who we are as a law school. So let me ask each graduate who is a son or daughter to please stand up. It's just a little test. Son or daughters, all right, very good. Everyone managed to stand up, otherwise we'd be really breaking new ground. Now, would everybody who's a parent please turn and face the audience and say hello, especially if you have your children here, to say hello to your children. Would anybody who's a parent, though, please turn and face the audience for us? Okay. That's terrific. Again, well done, and congratulations. And while you're there, apologize to them for all the missed soccer practices and school plays and all the rest of those things that might have occurred. Okay, you can turn back around now. Thank you. Now, will any graduates who are grandparents please remain standing while others are seated? Any graduates who are grandparents? Wow, there you go. That's great. And do any of you have grandchildren here with you today? No, not today. All right. Well, I'm going to say that on behalf of the graduates to our live streaming audience, they send their very best and congratulations just in case any grandchildren are watching today or will eventually be watching at some point. And if you want to, at the end, you can come up here and make a funny face to them or something like that if you'd like. All right. So you can be seated there. It's always fun just to see what happens. Most law schools would not have the kinds of folks that we have who have so much life experience, so many wonderful people to be with them on their journey through these things. And we do appreciate all that all of you have done to help them on their journey through all this. We know how hard it was and how many sacrifices were entailed. So we also appreciate you being here with us today. Well, graduates, now it's time to truly celebrate. The bar exam is out of the way. Graduation is over. Now you can really relax and have fun and kick back. This concludes the formal ceremony. We would appreciate the audience remaining in their seats during the processional. We look forward to seeing you at a reception gathering to honor our graduates. That will take place just outside, sort of straight ahead as you came in from the security entrance. Just go back that way, turn left. You'll find yourself in the courts dining room to enjoy a little refreshment with all of us. Graduates will process and then we'll return to the room for some pictures. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes St. Francis's 4th graduation. This commencement is adjourned.